Fury of the fateful or organized outrage. Delhi police is probing the posters used for the protest. Similar language, pictures used in messages. Cops are probing if these protests were pre-planned. Delhi police is probing the posters across cities. There's a pan-India fury. Stalking through social media is the question. The police is seeking answers to, in fact. Has this been organized? Remember, in Delhi city also, the Shahi Imam came out and said that they appear to be spontaneous and that the masjid had not given a call for these protests. But look at the banners and the placards that are being used. Many of it are similar in nature. Similar pictures are being used and the language is similar. The Delhi police is looking into whether this has been organized or whether this was a spontaneous protest, especially the ones that have turned violent. Delhi police is probing the posters that have been used for the protest. Remember, there have been calls for bands as well, and that is not something that is materialized. Who in fact designed these posters? Was this an organized campaign to ensure protests across the country, different parts of the country, to fuel unrest? Is the question the police is looking at very, very closely. Looking at the posters also being used in several of these protests, many of which have turned violent. The question that the police is trying to answer now through its investigations is whether these protests were spontaneous or whether they were organized. The language and pictures that have been used in the placards that were being held by the protesters. So is this organized or has this been spontaneous? What is the role of WhatsApp on all of this? And how was social media used is what the police is looking at. Given that the situation and these protests have thrown the law and order situation out of gear in different parts of the country. Pan-India protests that are being seen in many cities in India. Were these organized, especially the ones that turned violent? Or is this genuine anger on the streets? The police is trying to find the answer to these questions. Aishwarya Paliwal getting us the very latest on that. The Delhi police looking into whether the protests, Aishwarya, are spontaneous. How were the languages and pictures used in the messages, the placards, similar? All of this is being looked into by the police.
Well, sir, definitely the police is, asking each and everyone. They are also collaborating with the police of different states to understand what kind of posters were being circulated, who were the people who circulated. In fact, what police sources have told us is that it looks like the text and the format of the posters were very similar. So how is it possible that there was so much similarity? So the police at the moment believes that it could be, one person, or there could be a group of people who circulated this message. However, we are seeing the authorities saying that they were not the ones who made a call for this. So an investigation is taking place. The police is trying to understand where were these posters made, who were the people, and who is that person or that group which is now responsible for these posters which were being circulated across the country to call for protest. Sneha.
You know, Aishwarya, and all the more important because there have been claims, for example, by the Shahi Imam of the Masjid, the Jama Masjid, saying that the masjid did not give a call. Similar reports have been coming in from different other parts of the country, in Kolkata, for example, where it does appear that there's genuine anger on the streets. But this is something that's going to be important on whether there is a deliberate attempt to create unrest in the country.
Well, that is what the police will look into. They are looking at the people, the group, the organization or the organizations which are now trying to unsettle the country. And the police sources have told India Today that they have got onto their hands through investigation. They have found out the posters which were being circulated. Now forensics will take place and the police will try to find out who were the people which is the organization which is now trying to create the unrest, because in fact the Imam of Jama Masjid very clearly saying he does not recognize the people who made these slogans. And let me tell you, immediately after the sloganeering was done right inside the Jama Masjid, those people in fact disappeared, and those who stay close by, the locals say even they don't recognize those people. So definitely the angle that the police personnel are now trying to investigate is whether this is a well thought of plan to destabilize the country. That's what the police is looking at the moment. Sneha.